So we had the NFL draft, round one. The Titans grabbed Cam Ward at number one. The Jags grabbed Travis Hunter. I'm sorry, not round one. Yeah, it was round one. Number one pick. Travis Hunter goes number two to the Jags. And the Giants grab Abdul Carter at number three. But there's some headlines out making waves because we thought somebody would get picked in the first round. They didn't. Shedeur Sanders dropped out of the first round. And to this point, I don't know if he is yet to be selected, to my knowledge. So what do you think about that, Cuzzo? What do you think about him dropping out of round one, undrafted, as of now?
Yeah, I mean it's circumstances. I mean, at the end of the day, um, sometimes you can have all the star power, in the world, but it just comes down to a team's first and foremost needs, which there were some teams that needed a quarterback, and they also needed some other positions, that they might have valued more in the first round versus a quarterback, with the skill set of Mr. Shedeur Sanders. By any means, I'm pretty sure he's going to be picked in the second, third round, you know, with no doubt. But you dropping out of the first round is not as bad as people may like to make it seem, because it's a story. But you definitely want to drop out of the first round if you can go to the team that really wants you, go to a team that's going to know how to utilize your talents and your skill set, and will gear the offense towards, that very same thing. Um, so I watched a few commentary, about it today, and what people had to say. Oh, well, they said this and that, because his dad is going to be there and influential and be in his ear. That may very well may be, and that's up to that organization's discretion to say, I don't want to have to deal with that, you know. And for whatever reason, I get it. Sometimes when you're in sports, you can have those parents that, are a little bit too overbearing, not to say that this is the case, but I'm just speaking on, the commentary I heard, the reasoning behind it. I think Stephen A mentioned, um, media kind of helping his draft stock go down because of the type of person. He's arrogant. His dad's going to be there a lot, so you may not want this around your organization, and that's true. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's their prerogative. If they don't feel like this person's going to come in and be worth the risk or worth the headache of having to deal with that, then yeah, you're going to pick another quarterback that's just going to come in and work and not come with the show, because it's going to be a show. You know, some people don't want that in their organization, and you may miss out on one of the greatest talents ever, and you can live with that. 9 times out of 10, people don't care. You know, so wish him all the luck. I'm pretty sure he's going to definitely be, a talent for years to come in the NFL, and you know, this story still being written.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was took a look at their YouTube, and he had like a draft party. They was, excited at first, and you could see, as, it went further and further along, that the excitement started to die down, respectfully so. And, I actually saw what you're talking about too, about Stephen A. And then you had, Swagoo, saying that it wasn't that, that his tape just wasn't that good. And I'll say I didn't watch a large amount of Colorado games, but I will say that he shouldn't have dropped this far if other teams needed quarterbacks. And we'll just have to see, you know, um, how this plays out. And, it could be one of those things where, teams passed on him that really needed a quarterback. And, he becomes a Tom Brady. And he takes the team to, 6, 7 championships. Or it could be the case where, he's a DeMarcus Russell. And he has a 2-3 year career, and he's gone out the league. But I think football is a sport. Any sport though, to be honest, there's a lot of sports out there where you have to have a chip on your shoulder. And what he does, I mean, it could come off to some as cocky, arrogant. It could come off, a certain way. But this kid was raised in a household with a guy who was very opinionated. He was raised with a guy, I'm sure, said, "Don't be scared to be you." He was raised by a guy who, has a big personality. And I don't think if that is the reason why he didn't get drafted, I don't believe that's okay. But guess what? I'm not an owner, and I can't, I can't pay you millions of dollars a year. So my opinion in that regards doesn't matter. But man, I wish the best for Shedeur. Hopefully, he goes to a great situation for him and he balls out. And I don't know if he'll, be quiet, but I think that is a great thing to do, man. Ball out, show them that they're wrong, and don't say a word. Because I guarantee you, the streets will be talking. They'll tell your story for you. They'll tell your legacy for you. So if I have any advice for you, man, go out there and do your thing, ball out, and let them tell your story. So man, anywho, that's it for today. For today's episode of What's Up, Cuzzo. Man, we talked about the draft. We talked about Shannon. We appreciate each and every one of you for rocking with us. And please, as we always say, like, comment, and subscribe. Shout out to my cousin for jumping back in. Do you have any final thoughts before we leave, cousin? Are you good? No? Okay. All right then. Well, no, I was saying, do you have any final thoughts before we hop off? Are you good? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, man, I'm gonna have to get my audio together. That's one of my final thoughts. But I appreciate you holding it down as always. Yeah, man, I'll just say, man, we got to continue to, focus on, looking at things from a perspective that's not tied to anyone else's, which is the media, which is a Republican or a Democrat. We got to continue to look at things from a perspective of, is this the right thing to do? Is this the fair thing to do? That's the way we got to continue to look at things. So this way, he'll be out. Yeah. And that's all I have to say about that.
100%. Well, thank you everyone for hopping on. Thanks for everybody tuning in to us. We will see you next time. Peace.